In today's video, we're going to be diving into the upcoming pattern, taking a look here at an action-packed pattern that we have ahead of us over the next couple of weeks as we track some tropical concerns in the Gulf, the northern portion of the Gulf there, where we could see the deep south or southeast be impacted by some tropical activity, whether that's just a tropical wave or a tropical depression or a tropical storm. We don't really know yet, but some activity is certainly possible moving forward. We are going to have plenty of daily thunderstorms happening for different portions of the nation, which we will of course talk about. And with the temperatures, we're going to have a lot of ups and downs, and definitely notable is the downs as we have some colder air working its way in from Canada into the central and eastern United States at certain points here of the upcoming couple of weeks. So we're going to discuss that as well. So let's go ahead and dive into things here with the European model. And as we take a look here at today on Monday the 13th, we can see that a lot of the deeper south portions of the nation, from the southwest, the south central, the southeast, and then even up into the mid-Atlantic and southern New England, we have thunderstorms and showers around for all of these portions of the nation, which is very, very common in El Niños to have a southern stream of moisture moving across the nation like this. And we can tell that that is totally in full swing. And we can see where this northern jet is way to the north. So we have a split jet pattern, which is, again, very, very common in El Niños. You just typically don't see El Nino patterns, true El Nino patterns, set up like this in the summertime. It's usually reserved for the fall and winter. So the abnormal portion of this is actually the time of year. This is going to bring a whole lot of thunderstorm chances, especially in this deep south and southeast portion for the day today. Looking at tomorrow, we can see that things are quite similar. We do see more of the northern Rockies getting involved here, as a lot of these mountain ranges out west are seeing showers and thunderstorms around. And then for the south central states and southeast, we still have thunderstorms occurring. A little bit quieter in the north here. As we keep going towards Wednesday on the 15th, what we can see is a lot of precipitation still around for the southern states. That's not changing anytime soon, really. Northern Rockies are on board with some of these thunderstorms as well here by midweek here, Wednesday. Thursday, we kind of break away from this purely deep south active pattern, and we actually start to spread the love a little bit more for our northern folks in the north central and northwest here, getting a bit more activity, even the northeast here at certain points. So when you look at the nation as a whole, we obviously have scattered pockets of precipitation kind of just all over the place at this point. Really hard to differentiate it from a east or west or north or south thing. It's just kind of all over the place. And of course, not everybody's seeing it. Of course, we have a couple of exceptions here where there's no activity, so it's just going to be hit or miss depending on where you're at for the day on Thursday the 16th here. Friday the 17th, a little bit more organized. Clearly kind of two areas in particular are seeing the most activity. One for the Midwest, Great Lakes, down through the southeast, and then one here across the Rockies and into the southern plains like Texas and Oklahoma, seeing thunderstorms in both of these regions. A little bit cooler in the northeast also by this point, as our northern jet is troughing throughout these areas, so we actually get a little bit more cooler Canadian air working its way in as we reach later and later into the week here. Saturday on the 18th, a little bit more thunderstorm activity popping up in our Great Lakes, our Ohio Valley, Southeast, Mid-Atlantic regions, especially here in the Mid-Atlantic and kind of Appalachian Mountain Range, Smoky Mountains there. Seeing a lot of thunderstorms. This is the day where we had a long range, slight risk of severe weather. They've actually done away with that, surprisingly. So we don't see that there anymore on the Storm Prediction Center. Usually they don't downgrade risk levels on there. They usually play it a lot more conservative so that they can kind of continuously take steps up, not down. So this is unusual, but we have seen that kind of regress away. So will we see a slight risk on Saturday? That's a big question mark as of right now. Still, the Rockies and Southern Plains are a little bit active here by the weekend. Sunday the 19th here, we do see similar things. Four corner states, surrounding states to them, also the Northern Plains, upper Midwest seeing some activity here, Great Lakes, Ohio Valley, and then along this southeast and mid-Atlantic coastline, still seeing thunderstorm activity as we reach into Sunday. Monday the 20th here is pretty similar. We have a low over the Great Lakes, a lot more thunderstorm activity here for the Midwest, Ohio Valley, Mid-Atlantic, and Northeast. So we're getting a little bit more saturated. The Southeast isn't left out. They still see their kind of daily humid thunderstorms being possible for Monday the 20th. And then the Southwest, still quite active. Usually the West in general is a little bit quieter in the summertime, but the Southwest is now dealing with the their 6th day in a row, perhaps, of precipitation for some areas. So pretty active for those regions. Tuesday on the 21st here, a little bit more connected with all of this. As we could see, a lot of the Rockies and Four Corner states here are active, some of the plains, and then we see across the deep south, southeast, Ohio Valley, Mid-Atlantic, and Northeast here, we see tons of thunderstorms around for these different areas as we've gone ahead and moved into more of a trough in the east by this point. So as we're looking at next week, beyond the 20th, this does look to be a bit hotter in the west and a bit cooler in the east. Right now, to me, this doesn't jump off the screen as a major cool down on this European model, but certainly normal to maybe slightly below normal temperatures, which would be welcomed. I mean, for a lot of folks, that's going to mean low 80s, upper 70s. That's beautiful weather for this time of year, so we will certainly take that. Wednesday here on the 22nd, we do see this jet stream looking quite similar, troughing in the east, ridging in the west. Still very active for a lot of the southwest, northern Rockies, central Rockies there. We see some of the northern plains, upper Midwest, and then along the eastern seaboard, thunderstorms still occurring. So again, very action-packed here. Thursday the 23rd, maybe even an escalation of our ridge and trough pattern here. A lot of precipitation within this trough, so it's not a very dry, cold air mass. It's definitely still pretty active within these areas. We do see the Four Corner states and surrounding states seeing quite a bit of thunderstorm activity throughout these areas as well. Friday the 24th, which we're kind of extending into the long range here, so take it with a grain of salt, although not really a lot of bold things happening here. We're seeing a lot of the same kind of just continue to occur day over day. Very active here for the Rockies in general. Still a ridge in the west, trough in the east, and then active along this eastern area. So not crazy by any means. Saturday here, we do alleviate that ridge and trough a little bit as the jet stream flattens out quite a bit. We see activity again kind of just scattered throughout the Four Corner states, plains and Midwest, deep south, Great Lakes, Mid-Atlantic, Northeast here, so you've just got different pockets of it later on. Sunday the 26th here is very similar, 27th on Monday, and even Tuesday the 28th here, just really scattered throughout the nation and a little bit more sloppy with the jet stream. It's not a clear ridge and trough here. We've just got a lot of movement later on, which of course, once you get beyond 10 days, confidence does go down, but again, when it doesn't show anything crazy, it actually makes a lot of sense based on the pattern we've been in. It's hard to really look at it as some speculative thing. It seems like actually the more likely outcome in this scenario. GFS model, as we kind of just look for similarities and differences, the main thing we're going to notice is that the storminess is quite similar, very active throughout the west oftentimes, and then also the eastern seaboard. When we see this trough move in after the 20th, it's a lot more extreme though. That's our biggest difference, and that has been the biggest difference for days now on these model runs as we get this massive Arctic air mass in the east, bringing temperatures 10, 15, 20 degrees below normal. So that's not your, low 80s, upper 70s. That's like low 70s, upper 60s for some folks, crossing into the below room temperature territory, which is certainly shocking for the summertime. You can totally tell we have this southern stream of moisture very active here as well on the GFS model. As we work our way through this, that trough does alleviate quite a bit with time, although when we look at the very end of the model run here, it does look like another Arctic air mass is moving in perhaps, so maybe more of that happening later on. Looking at the overall precipitation, again, we can kind of just see where this southern stream is playing a huge part in it, and the northern stream is also bringing its fair share of precipitation to the north. So a lot of the northwest, north central, Midwest is kind of the areas left out the most here, although we do get some of the central plains left out a little bit as well. But clearly two main storm tracks are occurring here, and some of these reds are well above normal precipitation even for this time of year for some of these folks. The GFS model is pretty similar. We see again southern stream and then northern stream, and the east is the area that kind of benefits from both. We don't have very many dry areas here, but for some of the plains and some of the west coast, especially the northwest here, although for the coastal areas they're still pretty dry. It's mostly once we get to the Rockies where we see a lot of saturation. Still a very active precipitation pattern as a whole here. Looking at the temperature pattern here on the European model, again, it's going to be a little bit milder, these differences, but I've got to point out this pattern initially is very El Nino-like. We see warm along the west here, for the most part, there's some cooler air in there as we have some precipitation, out of season precipitation, probably pulling those temperatures down. But also across the north central, Midwest, Great Lakes, Northeast here, well above normal temperatures, even just starting out the model run. But for the deep south, south central, Southeast here, we see 10, 15 degrees below normal down there. And oftentimes when you get this really active southern stream, it's not only bringing cloudiness and precipitation, but these areas average seeing sun in the summertime. So when you eliminate that and you get cloudy conditions, you naturally see cooler conditions. So that is a classic El Nino look here. Again, just pretty out of season. And that continues for a while over the course of the week. And as we head into the weekend, we start to see some cooler air moving into the east. Although it's pretty cool out west, so I think this is going to keep it milder in the east. We see, again, some temperatures maybe pushing about 10 degrees below normal at times here, which certainly is noticeable, but not as severe as what we're going to see on the GFS model. And there is some fluctuation because we do cool down along the west here towards the end, and we do see more warming overall towards the east as we move further and further in the pattern. The GFS model, you're going to see a pretty clear difference. We start out the same here, but when this cool down moves down, it's a lot more intense with more widespread greens and dark blues around. And even as we head later on, you're getting these greens and even purplish blues, which is maybe 15 to 25 degrees below normal. So even if you averaged, let's call it 80 degrees, you're looking at 60 degrees if you're 20 degrees below normal. I mean, that is a severe difference from what we usually expect to see during the summertime. And some of these areas may be pushing 25 degrees below normal. So this is substantial, especially on certain dates here. And that does last towards the end of the model run, although we see this warmth come back here. But again, we've got this Arctic air mass trying to move back into the east again as we have these warmer temperatures set up over the west. We call that a positive PNA. That forces that cold air to head into the east. So maybe more of that continuing into the end of July, beginning of August, perhaps, according to the GFS. But again, pretty big differences on these two models is worth noting. So we still have some disagreement. Storm Prediction Center outlooks here, looking at day one today on Monday, the 13th. Many different areas dealing with the lighter greens where we're experiencing general thunderstorms. We don't expect severe weather, but of course anything's possible, so heed every watch, warning, and advisory. We have 3 darker green areas here, mostly smaller regions, and that's where we expect isolated severe weather to occur. We call that our marginal risk of severe weather. Tomorrow on Tuesday the 14th, a little bit of a crazy day. Here we see a lot of lighter green, some of those darker green areas, but we have a yellow slight risk for New England and upstate New York. That's your level 2 slight risk, and we expect more scattered bout severe weather there. But also the orange for the far northern woods of New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. That's your level 3 enhanced risk where we expect widespread severe weather to be possible. This is not common for these areas and definitely a very, very interesting setup that we have at play for New England tomorrow on Tuesday the 14th. So that is going to be a really, really interesting event to track. Looking at day 3, Wednesday the 15th, very quiet general thunderstorm risk for these areas, not even a marginal as of now. Definitely a chance that we see an upgrade to a marginal for some of these areas, but for now it looks like the quietest out of these 3 days. And then again, Thursday the 16th, predictability too low. Same thing for Friday, Saturday, where we did have that extended day outlook. It's now eliminated. And then as we look at Sunday and Monday, all of them have predictability too low. The smallest outlook they can issue on these extended days is a slight risk, or at least the equivalent of a slight risk. So it's very possible and probable that we have general thunderstorm risks for pretty much all of these days, some marginal risks in there at least, and maybe some slight risks slip through the cracks. It's very common, but they're not really seeing any major severe weather for days 4 through 8 as of right now, and they've kind of taken some steps back, if anything. So just wanted to let you guys know that as well. With all this stuff being said, guys, be sure to subscribe. We upload every single day. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.